Coming in at number 6 on our Locked On Senators NHL draft rankings, we're going back to Djurgården, where we find Anton Frondell, a centerman, left shot. The big question with Frondell is, does he project as a centerman in the National Hockey League?
Yeah, we'll answer that question as we go along here. Let's get to his stats last year. He played in Sweden, in Djurgården, in the Hockey Allsvenskan League, 29 games, 11 goals, 14 assists, 25 points, finished a +11. Then in the qualification, do you call them qualification playoffs? That's what I've been calling them. I feel like that's appropriate. Maybe a Swede can let us know if I'm
Alex
off there.
Lindskog, let us know.
Yes. Oh, no. Now he's going to start letting us know if our Swedish names are wrong, too, which they almost certainly are. I think Djurgården, I've got that one down.
Yeah, I also think you're better at Swedish names than you are French.
Yeah, we'll get to that. I'm sure I'm going to stumble over one player's name. But let's stick with Frondell here. 16 qualification playoff games, 3 goals, 4 assists, 7 points total. And then he also spent some time in the J20 National League, 10 games, 5 goals, 2 assists, 7 points. And was with Team Sweden at the U18s, where he only had 3 points in 5 games. But Scott Wheeler mentions, and it's something to be aware of, that he was coming off some jet lag from that, as he was still playing with Djurgården in those qualification playoffs, and then had to bust over to the U18s. I forget where the U18s were played, but he did.
I think they're usually in Texas.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, they were in Texas. So that's quite the journey for him to make. So understandable that maybe he wasn't at the top of his game there.
But it's kind of a trend with him with international tournaments where he wasn't at his best, right? The under 18s, last year he was great at the under 17s for sure, but it feels like, yeah, maybe it's just the under 18s, but still, to me, it's something that you want to be on the big stage in North America when there's a ton of scouts there. And I guess the other question for me is, how much did not being at the World Juniors hurt his stock?
Yeah, especially because he's touted as Sweden's kind of top prospect. Like, there was talks about him being the first overall pick in this year's draft before this season started. Like, he had a lot of hype behind his name.
I just think that you're looking for him to show that he can be a centerman. He's got pro qualities for sure. Like, we'll get to the shot is elite. And maybe that to me is why, again, being on the wing, being able to get off of rush chances a little bit easier and not having to split D or find yourself a little more open space. I just think that this guy could be an elite winger in the National Hockey League that can forecheck and get in front of the net and bang bodies and just be a power forward, because I think that he's got the qualities to do that. But I also think when you're looking at a player with that much skill who's played center his whole career, there's a bit of pride on the line at that point as well, where he's like, no, why would I change positions? I've been the best at my position in my country for years. Like, let me play center. So if he goes to a team like Philadelphia, I just say that because we have him ranked 6, Philly draft 6, Philly needs centers. He would probably love that because I think long-term they would want him to be a centerman. But if he goes to a certain situation where, let's say, they're already flush down the middle,
like Seattle,
all of a sudden, maybe that could be a blessing in disguise for him. Because if I was drafting, to me, I wouldn't be sold. Compared to the other centermen that were on here, there's a few that I think can be guaranteed centermen in the NHL. And there's some that I think might be benefiting more from playing the wing.
Now, Scott Wheeler did note he played mostly wing last year.
Against men. But whenever he's up against his own age group, he's played center.
Yes, but he did mostly play against men in the Allsvenskan League. I think, Ross, you start him off on the wing when he gets to the NHL, and then you work on making him a centerman. But let's get to some of the on-ice abilities that he has. Watching highlights of him, he's got nice hands. He's got a great shot. His shot is his bread and butter.
Sick.
He finished the season with 19 points in 11 games. Wheeler says he protects the puck well using that size that he has. What do we have him at here? 6'1", 204, good size. That's why he's able to be effective up against men. But EP says his separating skill, and I noticed this on the highlights as well, is his ability to get open and then use his great shot. Like, he's a great flank guy on the power play. He's got a booming one-timer that gets off his stick quickly, and the scout polls even gave him second best shot in this draft. So that is apparent. Now, Ross, where your concerns about him being a center lie mostly would be in his transition game.
Correct.
This guy,
and that it all comes through the skating too.
exactly. This guy is not a transition guy. He's got heavy boots. He's a slower skater. But also, I think with prospects, when they're this size, it takes them a little bit of time to get used to their body, because I'm sure he had a big growth spurt, not only in height, but weight as well. So once you get a little more comfortable in your size and you work with the proper skating coaches, you're able to figure out a stride and a pattern and a pace that works for you. So I think maybe he could figure that out. But I do think I'm with you, Ross. I think he'd be more effective as a winger.
I think that when you're looking at Anton Frondell, though, and you want to convince yourself that he can play center, I've heard some nicknames for him, Baby Barkov, in a way that they call him built like a military tank, is how the NHL European Central Scouting Chief refers to him as. So he's the type of guy where, like, he's a unit. He's going to play physical. He's got so much to work with.
Yep.
And that's why you might take him even earlier than 6. I think he's probably going to be around 6 on my rankings by the end of it. But if you look at the rankings of our scouts here, and by the way, Anton Frondell weighed in at the combine. He's 6'1", 204 already, and only turned 18 in May. So when we talk about missing the World Juniors this past year, he'll be there next year. Left shot, plays center. I think plays wing. Played wing against men last year. 3rd on Craig Button's list. 5th with Bob McKenzie. 6th with Wheeler, Pronman, and McKeens. Locked on NHL prospects down at 10. And elite prospects at 13th. So a range of 3 to 13. But if you go with the old Olympic scoring and take out the 3 and the 13, all of a sudden, between 5 and 10, a little bit easier to kind of get a read on what the scouts think of them. The stats are impressive. And so is the build. And I think that patience is going to be key with him. And it looks like guaranteed going back to Djurgården next year. Much like Victor Eklund, they want to see through what they helped accomplish, helping Djurgården be promoted from the Allsvenskan to the Swedish Hockey League. So Frondell would be in the top league in Sweden next year.
Yeah, and I think it would be good for them to have that elevated challenge going from the Allsvenskan to the SHL. And Ross, we're talking about rankings and stuff. I don't know about you, but I feel like more often than not in mock drafts, the Chicago Blackhawks are the team everybody seems to pick Frondell going to. So that's interesting there, because obviously they're looking for kind of players to surround Connor Bedard and that have different skill sets. And certainly I would say Frondell has very different skill sets than Bedard. So that is a place I could see making sense for him to land. But three's a little rich for me. I don't think I'll have him ranked that high in my rankings.
Well, where do you have him on your Sens stars?
My Sens stars, I got him at 4 stars, Ross. I do think he's going to be a winger. I like his pro skills. He's going to be a shoot-first guy. He's not a transition guy. There's concerns about his play driving and his skating. I think he's going to be a finisher on a power play unit. I like this player, but I just think in this range, there's 2 or 3 other guys that I think have a lot more upside, but you can't deny how good his shot is, and that if you set him up with the right players, he could really pop off here. I like EP's shades of Brock Nelson and Anders Lee. If he plays center, Brock Nelson type. If he plays wing, Anders Lee type. I think those are pretty spot on.
So at what point in the draft would you be like, damn, that's a steal for Anton Frondell? I mean, if it turns out like Lundell, he's having a heck of a career too.
I was going to say Freudian slip there from you. If he makes it to Seattle or Buffalo, that's nice value in my opinion.
So back of the top
possible.
10.
I think it's possible he gets there. Yeah,
back of the top 10 would be a complete steal. I'm with you there. With an average ranking of 7 on the dot, Anton Frondell comes in at number 6 on our Locked On Senators NHL draft rankings. You can find all of our prospect profiles free and available on YouTube.